Good morning, my name is Tristan Lowe and welcome to the Over 40s Fitness Podcast. What we're going to talk about today is another book in my home library that I go to for reference for health and fitness. Now, this particular book here is the Triathlete's Training Bible, and this is a book that I picked up about 13 years ago. It's the third edition, and it's put together by the author Joe Friel. And this particular reference book is something that from time to time I may go to myself to look up all things triathlons. Now, full transparency, I'm not a triathlete. I've actually trained clients that train in different elements of fitness, from runners, swimmers to cyclists, and one or two that have actually done triathlons, full distance and half distance. So what I'll do is I'll actually use this book maybe once or twice a year to go to a particular subject, whether it be the running, swimming or cycling side. Okay, so what we've got, the Triathlete's Training Bible, third edition by Joe Friel. I think I got this, I think it was in Sheffield, if memory serves me right, again, about 2010. I was training a gentleman from Lincolnshire, from Woodhall Spa, who was training for triathlons, and he would have been at the time, he'd have been late 30s, perhaps even early 40s. And so rather than just guess it or wing it, I did some research and trained him for his strength training in between performing for his sport. Now, again, just like my previous books, it's good to have a book in your reference library that is not something that's just been released yesterday. You know, go back to your bookshop, always support your local bookshop if you can, and buy yourself a book on your subject matters. Before, we've looked at training for alpinism, for mountaineering, for climbing. We've looked at books that I've kept for bodybuilding, but this one is for what we would know is an endurance sport or cardiovascular sport with an element of muscular endurance as well. So, okay, here it is. All right, that's what it looks like at the back. It's got a few disclaimers from different people that have read it and trained in the sports and fitness world. I think it says here at the time, back in 2010, it had over 200,000 copies sold. And again, the third edition here, put together by a company called Velo. They're the publishers. Of course, Joe Friel is an expert in his field, and he covers all different subjects here. I mean, we've got here training from the real world, training with a purpose, and if we go to different sections as well, in the contents, we've got planning, how you plan your training, the race and recovery, the competitive edge, right down to the nutrition side, the strength side. Of course, there's a foreword, as always. And so now, cardiovascular fitness is something that everybody should have, whether that be for day-to-day function or your general health. Cardiovascular fitness has to be assessed and worked on to get into any one of these three principles: the running, swimming, or cycling. Now, of course, people that I've trained as a personal trainer and sports massage therapist, they've always said to me, there's one of these three that they excel at. They're better at swimming, or they're better at cycling, or better at running. So they have to work on the ones on the principle that they're not too good at, and they bring it up to speed. Now, there's clearly physiologically, emotionally, and that goes into training for a sport like this, and it takes hours, weeks, months, even years of training and dedication, and not necessarily to give yourself a particular good performance or time. Just the training alone for one of these events, let alone three, is time consuming and physiologically demanding. So you would have to actually have a goal, not just of how you're going to get there, but also what you're going to do to get there, to how to start performing, how to start working. You know, do you take on a running coach, a swimming coach, a cycling coach? Do you take on a sports massage therapist, a physiotherapist, a personal trainer, a nutritionist, a dietitian? There's so many elements that go involved, and of course, there's your equipment. Now, and it's not as simple as just buying an old pair of trainers and the cheapest, heaviest bike. You've got to think about, you know, if you're actually going to be which one of these three elements that you're going to excel at naturally. You know, I'm 6'4", so of all three of these events, the one that I'd probably excel at given time would be swimming. Okay, so what I'd have to think about is what kind of bike I want to ride, you know, who makes the bike, how it's built for me. When it comes to running, what kind of shoes to wear, how to recover, and of course swimming, where I'm going to swim, where I'm going to learn to swim better than I already am, which is the stroke that's going to get me to A to B in the fastest time possible. Now, just like everything else, okay, there's a lot of information in this book, and what I do, I'll go to a certain section and look it up and just use it as a reference, a brief scan through. And it's what I keep this in my library. I consider this to be the Bible, in my humble opinion, the Bible of triathlon training. Now, there's been books that have been produced since then, and of course, with the advent of social media and the internet, of course, and YouTube, there's a lot of information out there. There's probably hundreds of thousands of hours of information for you to look at on YouTube if you're going to get into triathlon training. But my advice as a professional personal trainer is great to do that, but also get yourself a book, and preferably this book, and keep it, all right, and go to it. Have something you can read. Some people find it easier to take information by seeing or hearing, and some people find reading. And I think you could buy this now used on eBay for maybe £7 or £8, certainly less than £10. I think I paid about £20-25 for it. So if you can buy a used copy like this on eBay, go and get it fast, and start your triathlete training. Okay, so now it's 6:50 in the morning on a bright late August morning, and I'm about to go and get my training done now. I've had my coffee, I've had my glass of water. I'm going to go and get my fitness training in. It's light strength training today before I start my day coaching. Hence, I look a bit worse for wear because it's first thing in the morning. But okay, so my name is Tristan Lowe, and my podcast is the Over 40s Fitness with Tristan Lowe. And here's the book, Triathlete's Training Bible, by Joe Friel. This book is ideal for you. Right, okay, get after it, start training, and feel free to ask questions and get reading.